Yeah, and you know, SirRobin, his style has frequently been in ZVP just to go ahead and max out on Roach and Hydra a little bit, then start banking for Muta, and then he starts preparing for that Muta transition and catch the Protoss off guard after that initial trade. That's something that desRow appears to be aware of as well. So we'll have to see if there's any changes in the styles because of the familiarity of these two players. And in a best of 5 series, it's always a great opportunity for that to happen. Right now, the players are getting ready. They're figuring out the maps. I think they're already done. And yeah, so I'm also playing production assistant today, so sometimes like my mind is wandering a little bit. But yeah, we're gonna get started really soon, Drenok. And how about the prize pool, Drenok? What's that all about today?
Well, for these two best of 5, it's going to be desRow versus SirRobin, and the other best of 5, if I can think of it off, no, I can't, sadly, but it'll be Hitman versus Arthur. Now, the winner of these two will get $10, I believe. So, desRow, the winner of the first best of 5, they'll get $10. Second best of 5, they'll get $10. But then for the best of 7, we're all waiting for, I believe it is 60 to the winner. It's going to be QXE versus Stardust, and then 20 to the loser. So if you are invited to that, either way, you got some money coming away from it. So you can prepare a little bit, you can be excited to do it, but both players will get a little bit of the action right there in that best of 7.
Yep, absolutely. And as always, we are sponsored by Hitbox, which is a streaming service you guys are watching this on right now. Fantastic way to go and catch your favorite games, much less Fight Night. And make sure you're over here on Hitbox.tv if you're watching this on Team Liquid, because you're going to be able to take part in the chat. You're going to have things, opportunities like voting in the polls we got going on right now, which is, in fact, questioning who will win or what series you're most excited for. So you guys definitely should let us know. And right now the lobby is being set up. We're going to move right into it. And, yep, looks like everything's good. Here we go.
And just if we actually look at who's excited most for those series, looks like 50% for QXEV Stardust and then 30% for just all of them. So looks like we're going to have a really exciting night tonight.
Yep, I will definitely be expecting that. And first map of the day is going to be Iron Fortress LE. And we are going to get started with match number 1 right now. Okay, so spawning on the lower left-hand side of Iron Fortress, folks. It's going to be the purple Zerg representing Team Gravity. And let's see if he can, well, make some noise here. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have here SirRobin.
And his opponent in the top left-hand corner, it is the orange Protoss representing simply Canada and himself, the popular streamer, the one, the only, desRow. You always got that rush before you start the actual game, like, oh no, what clan, what team are they a part of? Like, desRow, oh you, desRow's desRow.
Yeah, I would say desRow does make it pretty easy on a caster. Not as much to talk about when you're introducing him, of course, in regards to the clan. So let's see what these players are up to. Now, Iron Fortress map is a pretty large one, so these players do potentially have a bit of room to, you know, go ahead and play a little more greedily. We'll see if they indeed do that. Right now, SirRobin has his first Overlord already heading in the right direction, which is a good sign for him as far as scouting.
Yeah, it will be a very nice scout for him, and not only will he get a little bit of that early information, hopefully undenied by a Stalker or a Sentry, but because he's going to scout it first, if he is planning on putting some early aggression on, or even early to mid-game aggression, he will see it and spot it quickly, so to be able to do that. But for now, SirRobin will be going for a hatch first, so nothing of early Ling aggression, anything like that. And I'd also just like to point out that, yes, this is a big map, but it also is a map from the previous season, so it is not quite as crazy as the current map pool.
Oh yeah, I think it's safe to say, and we'll likely be seeing some of those other new maps that came out this season and all the crazy stuff associated with it. But for now, we're going to see desRow go ahead with a Nexus first, and, well, just playing to really the strength of this map being so large, being so tempting to play greedy on. We have both players going for Expos first. SirRobin going ahead, adding on the pull afterwards, going to forego gas for the moment. I think he's going to get it with that drone, though. There it is.
Yep, and very nice for desRow. Right when that gas goes down, he does scout it, so he knows he's in the know for what SirRobin's doing, at least for now. And it was also nice that SirRobin went hatch first. I know, as a Protoss, when you're going Nexus first, you go and scout your opponent like, come on, not pool first, not pool first. Woo! Nah, it wasn't pool first. So hopefully desRow's going to be a little bit in the clear here. But no, just adding on double gas. And I'm curious to what he's going to transition to from this. He's only now getting down his cybernetics core, so obviously it's not he's not really decided yet.
Oh yeah, I mean, once that's done, there's so many different ways that a Protoss can go, and a lot of it has to do with the amount of gas he's mining. We'll see so far just 2 saturated in the main. Not quite time to take a 3rd or 4th just yet. Needs to focus on getting more minerals. We see this probe here from desRow going into a funky spot, probably just a scout for a 3rd more than anything, as the probe is now going to run away, and SirRobin making sure he clears the 3rd base if he chooses to take it with those lings.
Yeah, just making... Oh. My sound just went out.
Oh, did it?
Can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We hear you
That's
loud and clear, Drag.
Oh, you can? Okay,
yeah,
I
it's all
am
good.
very stupid then. Suddenly my Skype gave me a little warning that was like, the input line is screwed. We don't know what to do, but it didn't actually happen, so still in the know here. Yeah, and as you were saying, SirRobin is looking to take his 3rd base. Now, yes, you can do a lot of very aggressive things off the 3rd base, but on the other hand, at least if he does take that 3rd base, with desRow being very, very scouting, I mean, he's got a probe on the bottom right-hand corner. He's been very careful. If he does scout that 3rd base, it's still going to be a little bit of a sigh of relief for him, because that's going to allow him to get into that quicker, just more safe macro stage that he feels comfortable with. And just talking to him before this, he is a little bit worried about losing from cheeses, only because he hasn't been kind of practicing as much. He did try to get some WCS qualifiers, different things like that, and he's just been going to a lot of the events, so he is a little bit worried just about his, not necessarily overall form, but about the very fine things that, the micro that you really do well on it when you've played for many, many games and prepared a lot. But he's saying he's just a little bit worried about that kind of fine pinpoint management.
I expect SirRobin here to start looking for what desRow is doing. He hasn't been back in a while. He does see 2 gateways in the front. What he needs to see, of course, though, is this Twilight Council in the back of the main base, which desRow has been chronoing to get out Blink. And, of course, the extra number of gateways that are about to go down are key for us to know that he is going to be all-inning on 2 base. Question is SirRobin going to go find out about it with these 2 stalkers on the edge? Might take out this Overlord. Will take out this Overlord if it continues forward. So SirRobin here is going to have to try to rely on, really, just some intuition to kind of realize, well, there's 2 gateways in the front, likely going to see some kind of pressure, at least pressure, if not an all-in. But it's definitely an all-in.
Oh yeah, it definitely is an all-in, and I like that from desRow, switching it up a little. And as you were mentioning, his lings will scout just the wall of the natural base, and it is a very unique wall. Now, you normally would have 2 gates at around this point in the game, but it's a unique wall, the double pylon in those gateways. So hopefully he'll have some inclination on that. If we look back at SirRobin's base, though, he's got lair just finished. He is on 3 gas, and roach speed is starting, so he will be able to get out those roaches. But that roach speed is still about 70-80 seconds away. So if this all-in hits just a little bit earlier, these roaches are not going to have a great time dealing with the Stalker Zealot Mothership Core force.
Well, right now, SirRobin's going to find out about that force as he pushes out these speedlings just to check what's going on. Sees that the force is incoming here from desRow. So no doubt SirRobin now going to stop that drone production and crank out as many roaches as he possibly can. Roach speed still not quite done yet, only 60%, so he's going to have to fight without that for a little bit here as he needs to defend this crucial 3rd base. Every Protoss would love to take this out and they're all in and call it at least an early game. We'll see if desRow can manage to pull this off as the blink is done and he's about to move in.
Yeah, but there is no sentry with this main force, so he's got to be very careful. But there, time warp goes down. Currently, there's 21 roaches, and actually some lings on the left-hand side are trying to go for a little bit of a flank. desRow is pulling back. Still, he does have a blink back, and there it is, Blink's out of the way, but he will lose, barely does not lose those 3 stalkers. The Mothership Core taking its time, doing as much damage against these roaches, but they take out the proxy pylon. And now these 13 stalkers are on full retreat, but they're losing a lot right there. The entire attack was pretty much rebutted and pushed back right there, and now I'm slightly worried for desRow. Just the defense. There's so many roaches at his main, or sorry, at his natural.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you lose that proxy pylon as Protoss, that basically just castrates your attack. But SirRobin here, you could potentially say he might be overextending as he pushes into this, stutter steps into the stalkers, but desRow not really blinking effectively here. He just has to blink everything all at once. And usually, of course, you would like to just fight with those weak roaches, blinking them back one at a time. And with this, desRow is on the run here continuously. SirRobin right now still cranking out roaches. He's not going back to droning just yet. desRow still just kind of awkwardly trying to fight off this Ling and roach pursuit.
Yeah, these couple Lings mixed in with the roaches work beautifully. The roaches keep these stalkers on the run. They keep having to blink, but the Lings are just fast enough to be able to catch up to them and kill a couple of them. Now, we do see 20 more Lings on the way. Finally, actually, I think it's a macro hatch. Yeah, it is a macro hatch for SirRobin, and he has he does not want to stop this aggression. He's completely going for more aggression, and I'm a little bit worried for desRow because you can do a lot with these blink stalkers, but as I was saying, he's a little bit out of his form, and you got to have fantastic blinks to be able to defend against an almost all roach army. At least there is a lot of Lings mixed in, so it's a little bit of a there's positive negatives to those Lings mixed into the main army.
The other thing to keep in mind too is that desRow hasn't been adding on any upgrades to these stalkers, so no forge upgrades or anything like that. He's going cold turkey here as SirRobin's now going to come in here with roach and Ling. desRow blinks away in time, goes into the choke, which is always a great place to fight against Lings, but there's still a lot of roaches as well as they are moving in through the time warp, which is well placed, but nonetheless these roaches are stuttering in. Let's see who wins this battle. It's going to be close.
Yeah, the roaches get a very nice surround, especially with those Lings taking up the time of the Zealots, not allowing any of these Zealots to get down their valuable damage into these roaches, but still, Stalker's barely pushing this back so far. Lots of blinks going down, but now they're actually up against a corner. They could blink into the third base, but SirRobin will go for a little bit of a retreat here, but 16 more roaches on the way, and only one Stalker being warped in for desRow. He will push this back, but there's even more roaches coming across the map. And if you look at his main and his natural, there's nothing off of this. He's not transitioning into any of this. He's just trying to make this pressure work, and I'm a little bit worried that it may not.
Well, we'll see. SirRobin now continuing to crank out reinforcements. He's fighting on creep now. This is going to be a much better thing for him. Oh, but those two force fields sandwich part of the roaches in the front. Actually, the biggest part of the roaches in the front. And desRow should be able to clean at least those up, as the rest of SirRobin's roaches are still behind those force fields. Now they're going to come forward here. And let's see if the defender's advantage can help SirRobin. He is on creep now, way closer to his base. But of course, desRow does have his proxy pylon up. SirRobin not able to take that out just yet.
Yeah, and to boot, SirRobin does have these two macro hatches, but the Queen will be sniped. No injects on these two, but so many Lings. 20 Lings coming out, by the way, guys. Plus one missile attack for these roaches is also on the way, but it's still about half. It's only about halfway done, so it's going to be a while, but SirRobin getting very aggressive, pushing forward really quickly. Still, it's almost only Stalker Force. One sentry will be taken out. There is the blinks back by desRow, but they don't think they're going to be good enough. Only a couple more Stalkers are being warped in. And SirRobin on these three bases is just able to pump out a little bit more than desRow here. And he did not lose his third base early on, like you were saying before. Really, this attack needed to kill that third base.
Yeah, and SirRobin needs to be careful. Every time he's fought on creep with these roaches, he's fared a lot better, which obviously makes so much sense. When you're Zerg, you're faster, you have just slightly more regen. So really, SirRobin shouldn't overextend, just continue fighting at this choke. It's good for him. Now desRow moving forward once more with these roaches. Ooh, he's even blinking some across the chasm to see if he can draw SirRobin's units back. Just two Stalkers, not a big deal. Lings are on them right now here at the front. Roaches and Stalkers going at it once more. desRow trying to blink away. Now SirRobin going to get pursuit. Looks like I see more Zerg quantity here than Protoss. Is this the end of the push from desRow? Yes, it is. Yeah, GG.
End of push and GG right there. SirRobin going up one in this best of 5 series.
So, well, that was a pretty typical, what was it, 7 gates? I didn't even count the number of gates. It looked like it was 7 for desRow as he did his blink all in. And You know, he put up a good fight, but SirRobin was ready. He had his roach tech out, speed was done, and for the most part, I'd say SirRobin had that handled pretty well.
Yeah, I feel like if it was a little bit different of a unit composition for desRow, it may have worked. Originally, it was just mainly Stalker, and it kind of stayed that way for the majority of those pushes. And yeah, Blink Stalkers are great, but he wasn't really able to utilize them in the way Blink Stalkers are normally done. I mean, just, you have fantastic micro pulling back and never really losing them, but he lost a lot of them. And then at the end, he kind of got a sentry, got something like that. But you need those early on. As I was mentioning, you gotta snipe the third base. Now, if you can't snipe the third base, you can even retreat and just stop all your pressure, and you're in a fantastic position. But if you do snipe that third base, you kill a lot of the production, you get a queen probably, and either way that works well, but he was unable to do that, so it really just went downhill from there, and he never had any transition out of it.
Yep, and when you can't do lasting damage with an all-in, well, you kind of have nothing to fall back on.
It was all in, so you're screwed.
Yeah. So we're moving into game 2 now, which is going to be on Terraform LE. As we're setting this up, I want to give a shout out to another sponsor of ours, which is Spawning Tool. They came on as a partner a couple months ago now, I think. Man, time flies.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't know what Spawning Pool is, they are a service where they host replays of pro gamers, and they analyze those replays. So it's not just a place where you upload a replay and call it a day. They basically also analyze the play styles of all the pro players. They give you statistics and probabilities on what kinds of builds they go for and their success rates against certain unit compositions and whatnot. It's a huge, valuable resource for those of us who like to play and analyze a game of StarCraft. So you guys definitely want to check that out. And Spawning Tool has a new feature lately, Drenok. What is that about?
It's actually a really cool feature. As you were mentioning, there's a lot of pro players, or just pro players replays on this site. And because of that, sometimes you want to get those replays and say, I'm going to copy their build. Now, Spawning Tools has made this even easier to do. Basically, what they've set up is a system where you can select the build, and then you can kind of start a timer on it. So you can have it up on one screen, and it's going to tell you what to build at what supply at what time during that game to copy the same build of that pro player. So you can get used to doing a lot better builds and add a lot just add a lot better kind of proficiency. So it's very efficient and very clean. So it's a really cool idea from Spawning Tools.
Absolutely. So we're now moving into game number 2, folks. This one's going to be on Terraform LE now. So we went from a 4-player map and downsized things here to 2-player map. Let's see who's spawning where. We got the purple Zerg guys spawning on the bottom right-hand side, representing Team Gravity, currently up 1-0, folks. It is SirRobin.
And the man down a game in the top left-hand corner is the orange Protoss representing himself. It is desRow. And looks like he's opening up again with that gateway fast expand. Now, I like this, but I was talking to someone about this recently and how you really see a little bit of a disconnect in the lower leagues of mainly going Forge fast expand. Then the pros just always seem to rely on their micro and things like that to be able to hold a gateway fast expand because there's a lot more things you can do out of it.
Yeah, I mean, the pros, I guess, you know, when you have their kind of multitasking, their level of micro, and being able to keep up with macro at the same time, they kind of have that luxury where they can afford to play a little more greedy, whether it's tech-wise or getting that base a little earlier. And then, of course, if you're not at that level, you kind of have to play a little safer, but make some sacrifices along the way. But I don't think for either of these guys we're going to see them making those kinds of sacrifices, and they don't really need to. Gateway, indeed it is for desRow. SirRobin, moving right into 15 hatch.
Yeah, pretty much this saw before, at least the same openings, but it is on Terraform. Now, this is a 2-player map, and there's a lot of little just nooks and crannies you can get around this map. There's a lot of really cool attack paths, and maybe that Blink Stalker all-in would work a little bit better on this, but then again, it's still pretty big. It's still a pretty big opening into that natural, so a lot of roaches can get out and be able to surround you. But I'm really curious to see how both of these players are going to utilize this map, and especially because you almost have 5 attack paths across the map.
Yeah, Terraform is kind of strange in the sense that, you know, you also have these rocks that can block one of those main attack paths, and then you have to kind of walk all the way around or take out the rocks. That's one interesting feature about this map that both these players could use to their advantage. For now, desRow expanding here. Obviously not quite so greedy compared to last game. Getting his 2 assimilators right now. And we'll see when he decides to get that Core, because that gateway was kind of finished for a little bit there. He decided to take the Nexus first, I think, because he saw that SirRobin went 15 Edge again, so he thought, okay, I'll just get the expand out. But it kind of did defeat the purpose a bit of getting that gateway so early, I think.
Yeah, it did defeat the purpose, but on the other hand, I feel like a lot of the time with that gateway is it's more of your opponent seeing it and saying, okay, you could be going really aggressive, you could be doing a proxy, like something, a DT rush, or you could just be playing a normal macro game. So it's really getting it up to your opponent of, you can't read this. But he does have an Overlord, that is SirRobin, on top of that Cybernetics core. He knows it's a little bit later, and I mean, he feels safe against any early aggression at the moment, and he's just macroing up. He's got a wave of drones coming out. He will start Metabolic Boost, and hopefully he's going to start taking some map control just with those Lings. And I think those Lings helped a lot, especially in the previous game, to catch up to any units. But for now, he's just poking in, attempting to get into the natural of desRow.
Alright, these 2 Lings do successfully juke the Zealot to sneak into that natural, but they leave immediately because of the presence of the Mothership Core, as desRow now finishes off that wall. He did check on the presence of a third earlier for SirRobin, not quite there yet. SirRobin just delaying a slight bit these days, I suppose, because, well, he wants to be safe with it. I know in the past a lot of Zergs love to take that 420, 430 third, but you don't really see that as often anymore, just because the Zerg is so afraid of early Protoss aggression. But right now we're going to see SirRobin go ahead, grab that speed, and just continue droning up. desRow, going to be time to get that tech now, and indeed he has made his choice. It's going to be Robo this time as opposed to Twilight of Game 1.
And I like that deviation, just switching it up a little bit, and that always works really well instead of trying to do the same thing again. And one thing to say on this map also is it's interesting to take a third base, because you can do the horizontal one, and you can do that vertical one too, but both of those positions, the vertical one has 3 directions you can get into it, and it's just very hard to defend as any race. For now though, desRow is just, I mean, he's just being the annoying ghost up there with the Mothership Core. He knows it's not going to actually kill it, but he can pull the queens away, maybe stop some creep spread and some injects. And also on the other side of the map, SirRobin really nicely is just both players have a presence outside their opponent's bases, just making sure they know what's going on.
Absolutely. But part of knowing what's going on is also going inside the base as well. SirRobin probably going to prepare to move in with this Overlord soon, as he needs to see that there is a Robo, but he's not going to know what's coming out of it, okay? This is actually going to be a Warp Prism as opposed to an Immortal. And sometimes as a Zerg, you scout Robo, you think immediately, oh, it's going to be Immortal Sentry, right? Well, it could still be, but for now it's going to be a Warp Prism first. And we are going to see SirRobin throw down 3 Spine Crawlers in between the natural, and the third, as he's right now going to get that Roach Tech as well, similarly last game.
I am really excited to see what desRow is doing. He's loading up 4 sentries into that Warp Prism. Now, if you look at SirRobin's main, no Spine Crawlers, and the Roach Warren, and the Hydralisk Den is in the main. So if potentially desRow can get a force field off on the ramp from the natural to the main, and get a big Zealot warp in, if we look, he's got 4 gates. That's going to be really hard to contest, especially because he could potentially take out all the tech that SirRobin is banking off of defending this.
Yeah, and then all of that would be, of course, in an attempt to buy time for desRow here to take this third base, to transition into Colossus as the robotics bay is finishing up. And if he can make this work, he'll set himself up for a fantastic mid-game. Here we go. Here's that first force field, and we're about to see the warp in, as you predicted, Drenok.
That not deserts are being pulled. Drones are being pulled. There is the 1 queen, but now 4 zealots in the base, a little bit indecisive where they're going. It looks like the sentry is going for that Hydralisk Den, and really just what tech are you going to snipe here? You not only delay the mining, but you delay those injects, and the sentries have to be very careful. Force field goes down again at the natural ramp, and just keeping it off, keeping as many units out of the main as they can, but a lot of these zealots and sentries are kind of meandering around, not going for one specific target. I really would like to see them go for one of these tech structures, but now all the sentries are on the Warp Prism, and there's going to be no more force field. The units of SirRobin getting in, but they do snipe the Hydralisk Den beautifully enough, and 9 drones.
Yeah, I have to say that, you know, desRow may have been finding it difficult to multitask in this situation. He's floating quite a few minerals in the process, or just kind of letting his sentries get surrounded by those drones for a bit there. So, yeah, it's difficult definitely to do all these things at once, but nonetheless, like you mentioned, Dranak, he managed to get some work done in sniping workers as well as tech. And one more thing that can't be understated is the fact that SirRobin wasn't mining that whole time on one full base. And when you have your mining delayed for that long, you're basically missing out on a lot when it comes to macro.
Mm-hmm. And if we look at the just harvester counts for both of these players, SirRobin is ahead 16 workers, actually now a little bit more than that, about 15 or about 17 or 18 workers. But like you were saying, none of those workers in the main base were harvesting, and there was a good 16, there's about 20 workers in the main, so that evened it up for a very long time. And you do not want to be on the same amount of bases, especially when it's 3 bases to 3 bases in PvZ. But SirRobin knows this, taking a base in the top right hand corner, and is now going for a decent amount of counter aggression with 14 lings and 13 roaches. Hopefully it's going to be able to get some damage done, but desRow already has 2 colossi.
Yeah, I don't see any way that SirRobin can just break through this. There's no way right now. He's going to back off immediately just because of the presence of those 2 colossi. And this is exactly what desRow hoped when he made that Warp Prism drop. Just kind of set himself up for this situation here, getting out tier 3, nice third base, which is almost saturated on the mineral line, and really no plan in sight, or no opportunity in sight for SirRobin to easily pressure this without getting additional tech.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I like that desRow is playing more of a macro style. In Game 1, I was very surprised that he was being as aggressive as he did, because in the interview beforehand, he was kind of saying, well, the one way I'll win is through macro. And I was like, cool, but he didn't quite do that. And he's allowed himself to be able to get in that nice macro state where he feels more comfortable. Just to say right now, we do see SirRobin maybe going for a counterattack into the third base, but there's 3 cannons going over that third base as desRow moves across the map.
Oh, this is going to be awkward quick. Too late now for SirRobin to back off with that counter force, as you said. And yeah, they have to focus down that cannon first, and potentially other cannons that are about to finish. In the meantime, this third base from SirRobin is going to be a thing of the past. There's absolutely nothing here to stop this massive death ball here from desRow with 3 Colossus as well as gateway units and plenty of force fields to make life easy for this army. Spire goes down as well. Immediate recall into the third base to make sure it is secured. I don't see any way where desRow can't secure it, as these roaches are just going to get vaporized, and right now SirRobin in a lot of trouble.
But desRow also has to be super careful. 16 mutas are in the main base and right on top of these probes. 8, 9, 10, 15 probes going down. desRow needs to get in there beautifully. Blink is done now. Just a couple seconds ago, he's able to blink forward and take him out. But now, at the third base, very worried. All the probes are here and they're so clumped together. The bouncing attack of SirRobin's Mutalisks do a lot of damage. 27 workers killed. And if we look at that, desRow killed 13 to the 28. Even though a lot of damage desRow was able to inflict, those mutas definitely paid for themselves. 27 probes went down, and now SirRobin is just expanding crazy across the map.
He is, but he's going to need to hold this upcoming attack here. Of course, these mutas will be able to continue annoying desRow at his main base, and desRow almost flirts with the idea of going home, but now he's going to continue moving forward here, and if he has to lose his main base, I guess so be it. Is it going to be a full-on base trade? We'll see what SirRobin can muster at home. It's not a lot. He's only got 10 units in production right now. Oh, there we go. There's a lot more roaches on the way, but still, we might see some bases, if not drones, if not both, get taken out. And this is definitely a quasi-base trade at this point. It might just even end up being that way for the rest of the game.
It's almost, I don't even know if I'd say base trade, simply because desRow cannot pull back and defend. His mothership core is at his third base, and GG. Actually, interestingly enough, desRow takes that. We thought SirRobin was.
I guess, you know, SirRobin felt, I have just these mutas, I'm not going to get anything else. There's not enough DPS here. There's no point in dragging this out. So, well, that's a good calculation and estimation, I would have to say. And so, scores 1-1 now.
Yeah, just by the way, the whole reason I was thinking SirRobin was going to win that is if we look at his workers killed, I know you're out of game now, but he killed 44 workers. Like, that's a ton. It was 20 to 45, so that's why I was like, maybe the base trade isn't going so well, but if somehow SirRobin can kill desRow's it wasn't even a death volley army. It was this two colossi, some stalkers, some other gateway units mixed in. If he could kill that, desRow has no way to remax, especially versus what, 6 bases of a Zerg player. You don't even need to inject at that point.
Yeah, but the problem is you move into the main base with your death ball and you take out all the tech. There's really not much you can make, even with all the economy and all the hatcheries that you have at your disposal. So I don't know. I guess SirRobin felt it was over, and he decided to tap out. So we're going to move into game number 3. And it looks like the map in question, as I'm loading this lobby right now, is going to be still loading. But anyways, this is a
there
pivotal...
we go, Coda.
Coda. Awesome. This is a pivotal game, of course, as always, when both players are tied and they're looking for that next win to put them in match point scenario. This is a best of 5, so next game is going to be pretty pivotal, I guess you can say.
Yeah, well, this is a best of 5. Currently, it is 1-1. So, I mean, they still got a couple games, or even though the next game will bring one of these players one game away, it's still, they've got some breathing room. So this is going to be a very interesting game. Both players got 1-1 on the board. They both played pretty well so far. So I'm really excited to see this, especially because they're on Coda, and Coda is just the most standard map you can get in the map pool at the moment. So I'm curious what we're going to see happen. Do you have any predictions in this PvZ Coda?
Well, I think, you know, for the most part, Coda is pretty decently balanced here in this matchup. And, I mean, we'll have to see. I can imagine both these players playing fairly standard here. I don't expect desRow to go back to that style of all-in that we saw in Iron Fortress. I'm thinking maybe more that game he decided to do that just because he was expecting SirRobin to play more greedy or something. He could punish that, but that wasn't the case. But we're going to find out shortly enough. This is game 3, folks. Coda LE. We do have here the orange Protoss spawning on the bottom right-hand side here. And he is representing himself and his own team, consisting of only himself. It is desRow.
And his opponent, hailing from the sponsors of this tournament, or more to say, the organizers from Team Gravity, it is the Purple Zerg player, SirRobin. And like I was actually doing a lot of research on SirRobin before this, and realizing he's been around for quite a long time, but has not really made a huge impact in the pro scene, just playing different MLGs, and really just doing a lot of semi-professional play and setting up some decent teams too. But I'm really excited to see him getting to play more, especially after joining Team Gravity.
Yeah, he did take quite a break, I think, for almost the... I don't know if the whole duration of Heart of the Swarm, but a large part of it. But back in Wings of Liberty, he was a very active player, and he was on actually the same team as desRow. They were both on FXO back in the day. I don't know if that necessarily means they're like super familiar with each other, because as we know, this is a video game, and all our relationships are built online and could be long distance, so it's not like these guys are necessarily huge friends or anything. But it is something to note, as both players were formerly teammates. I don't even think desRow's been on a team since FXO. He's kind of landed his own sponsorships here and there, but he's kind of been a lone wolf for a bit. He's going to go ahead and scout this hatch first opener again from SirRobin. And, oh, what is that?
desRow opened up Forge first instead of that Nexus first, so he is going to try to get some cannons up. And lovely, I love this move by SirRobin, putting the Overlord on top of his Natural Hatch, because the Natural Hatch has very little vision, and this Overlord just allowed him to see whatever's going down. 2 cannons go down, and I just like to say, it's not only a video game, but StarCraft, they've both taken a break, not taken a break, but since SirRobin has taken a break for so long, like you don't know how they're going to play. They could play very differently than they did before. But 1 cannon going up in the natural. desRow goes to the main, and he's a little bit indecisive. Not 100% sure if he actually wants to cannon rush or can cannon rush, simply because of the creep spread. But does spot the spawning pool, no gas, and actually gets a cancel in the natural base.
Yeah, I mean, SirRobin no way was going to keep that going, and he definitely wasn't going to unload units onto these cannons. Just kind of let it finish up. desRow knew it too, that's why he canceled the second cannon. Didn't want to waste any more minerals than he had to, as SirRobin does take his second base in what usually is the position for the third. In the meantime, we do have here a drone from SirRobin just scouting out what desRow's doing. And really, there's not too much desRow could have done at this point, considering that he did commit to early forge and cannons. But it is just a safe thing for the drone to do, just to see if desRow is expanding, which is a huge thing. And the drone does get caught. Oh! Mineral Walk gets it out in time.
Beautiful from SirRobin. Does get a full scout, as you mentioned, which is incredibly important in StarCraft 2. And it is a Forge Fast expand, so he knows he's got a little bit of time to really prepare, because desRow's not able to mount the most aggression from this Forge. Doesn't even have a gateway, much less a cybernetics core done yet. But we do see 3 bases coming out for SirRobin, and I like this. I actually like this a lot, but he's got to be really careful. And as we see double gas in the main, he's got to be able to force out a lot of roaches quickly, because 3 bases, especially when you have none in your natural, and you have a pylon in your natural, it's got to be very scary as a Zerg.
Yeah, this is kind of awkward, of course, for SirRobin, as he's transferring drones a long distance, transferring this queen a long distance. Look at this, just kind of moseying its way over off creep. And then, of course, the question is, when does SirRobin go ahead and deal with this little cannon and pylon? Because that could potentially cause problems if you're rallying units or overlords or something, and they just fly over that. And not to mention if desRow starts warping in there. But I would have to expect SirRobin will have it dealt with before that's an issue. Right now, desRow has made his tech choice following the Cyber Core. It's going to be a Stargate here. And let's see if he goes with Phoenix or Oracle, as he is looking to get in some kind of pressure in the early game.
I love Stargate in PvZ just because you can snipe so many overlords, especially with nothing at that natural base. There's going to be no queens, no spore crawlers to deny those phoenixes. And one thing I'd also like to point out is in the main of SirRobin, he had those gases after making it. So it was just a little supply block when he did that. And actually his gases are going to be slightly later, which is okay. But I was a little bit worried for him at first. He's now on 3 gas, and he's even sending these lings home. Hopefully he'll be able to get rid of this cannon. But that's actually going to give a little bit of vision to desRow. You also got to remember that everything has been walking through there, and he could potentially see anything going on, any units moving out, and even as a scout on those 3 bases. So desRow knows a lot about this, and I'm really curious to see how he's going to play this out.
Well, now the Overlord is being accosted by the Phoenix, and SirRobin knows it's a real Phoenix, because he is actually losing hit points to it. And because of that, we're going to see... Well, nobody would keep the hallucinating Phoenix to kill an Overlord anyway. So, SirRobin now...
That'd be fantastic.
I know,
like,
right?
Mind games.
Seriously. And then just hope you're not paying attention to the hit points on your Overlord.
Yeah.
But no, we are going to see real Phoenixes here, and we're going to immediately see spores go down, I think? Or maybe, well, it's just 1 Phoenix for now, so SirRobin can maybe wait on that a little bit, as he does have queens to hold down the fort. I guess the bigger priority is to kill off this pylon. The real Phoenix is here, and it's starting to poke at this Overlord here. 2 Phoenixes.
Second Phoenix does come in. Now, 2 Phoenixes cannot quite deal with the Queen, especially when they're this low on health. But now that the third is in there, they will be able to deal with it. They will have to pick it up one time, though, after it drops, just because of not quite enough DPS. But like I was saying there, that critical couple seconds where a lot of the Overlords were in the natural. Normally, as a Protoss player, you want to wait till you get 3 to 4 Phoenixes to actually show you have that. So you just go in, snipe as many Overlords as you can. But because of that, not quite as effective, but still, 2 Overlords, 2 Queens. This is really going to stop the production of SirRobin, especially when he wants to punish the third base of desRow.
Yeah, he walked that queen all the way over from God knows where, and, well, had to lose that immediately. So SirRobin now adding on spores every which way. And desRow, is he going to continue committing here to air? Looks like he's adding on a void right now, as these roaches and lings are coming in to see if they can attack his third base. But we have a Zealot Warp in here from desRow, which should be enough combined with these Phoenix to hold. Probably will lose this last roach too, we'll see. Speed is fairly equal between these 2 units, but third base stands strong, and desRow here is looking to macro hard now, adding on Twilight at this moment, and starting a Robotics Bay.
Nice. I'm really liking these plays out of desRow, and also it's currently 3 to 3. Yeah, 3 bases to 3 bases. Yes, SirRobin is starting his 4th base, but this only goes in favor of the Protoss player, especially when they're not doing some sort of like 2 to 3 base all-in, because I mean they're gonna have a wide variety of units. They're gonna be able to get out their Colossi, their High Templars if they need it, and get into beautiful position. positions. desRow is moving out of Void Ray, but we got 5 Zealots, 4 Sentries into this top right end base, while at the same time picking off Queens in the main base, doing as much damage as he can, and any of the units are going to kind of be conflicted where they go. There is 3 Queens, though, beautifully at the top right hand base of SirRobin.
Oh, but it's not nearly going to be enough. Immediately one queen goes down. Now, no transfuse on it here, and units have yet to come out here for SirRobin. He's been focusing on droning more than anything. It's kind of left him here a little unprepared for this. Now these drones are actually being A-moved. Oh, that is the worst case scenario for Zerg. Hydra's coming out immediately, but spawning right in the middle of this huge cluster, this huge mess. And right now we're going to see those Hydras all go down. Few more coming here to help out, and they do take out the Void Ray, but so many drones were lost in that scenario here, guys. 21 workers killed by desRow, and that's just not a good situation for SirRobin to be on the same number of workers at 12 minutes as the Protoss.
SirRobin not only being on the same amount of workers, but almost being close base-wise. He's getting up a macro hatch. He knows he needs to have more production. But the Phoenixes of desRow, there's only 5 Phoenixes here, but they're stopping so many things. If they wanted to, they could pick up the Hydras like they are, but oh, 1 Phoenix does go down. desRow has to be very careful, but snipes 2 Hydras, and that is literally 60% of the Hydra forces for SirRobin. While back at desRow's base, he's got a Colossi up. Or, there it is. He has the Colossi up. He's getting up another army to push out again. You do damage, you pull back. You do damage, you pull back, and you just annoy the Zerg player until they can't quite do anything anymore.
I think it's safe to say that SirRobin right now is pretty darn annoyed. 66 workers, he's got that drone count back up, but the supplies are the same, and that's never supposed to be the case. When it is PvZ, the Zerg, generally speaking, is up 20 to 30 supply at this point in the game just because of how things are balanced. They can make their workers faster and whatnot. But it doesn't matter if you lose 21 guys, and really just not that many units here for SirRobin. He's going to try to take out these rocks here and see if he can open up some more movement paths for his army. SirRobin still holding just off that natural with those 4 Phoenix, and now he's getting his army out here in the center of the map. 2 Colossus Stalkers on the way, +2 attack is finished. Thermal Lance about to finish up. SirRobin only starting +2 right now. This is not going to be an easy fight for him if desRow chooses to push.
All these previous pushes from desRow have been into no army, so finally SirRobin has a chance, but oh, he spots it and has to pull back. Blink is just a couple seconds away, and these Hydras are just going to melt to this double Colossi force, and this is really scary. 3rd Colossi is going to be coming out back at home, and now SirRobin is going to be in a very sticky situation to defend this. desRow taking his time, cleaning up creep. Yes, SirRobin does have +1 for these Hydras, but desRow has so much more. Currently, it is 80. It's actually very even on army supply, but so much more for desRow.
This is rough, man. These drones were supposed to be pulled, but the force fields make it difficult for that to help out. desRow just stepping back a little bit here as he's trying to make sure his army is in a safe position. These Colossus right now are kind of exposed as they are trying to walk back over those Stalkers. One does get taken out. The Stalkers here are blinking back, and so far SirRobin's still hanging in there, but a 2nd Colossus is back now.
At least he was able to get the mothership core, so if he can push this back, desRow is going to lose a lot. But it's still going so well for going so well for desRow. SirRobin has 5 roaches, 5 Hydras, and all his drones as much as he can with this main army. That's just not a force going up against +2 attack Protoss at the 16-minute mark versus only +1 and no armor for SirRobin. This is just going so well for desRow. And a lot of PvZ is just who is denying your opponent, who is up in your face. And in this case, desRow has been up in SirRobin's face this entire game and has not allowed him any breathing room, and now is just getting up to a scary amount of Stalkers. Currently, there's 39 Stalkers in desRow's army.
Well, one thing SirRobin can hang his hat on is he finally has his +2 finished up. He's even on upgrades, just not quite supply now as desRow's taking a 20 supply lead. He's trying to move this force over, see if he can cut off half of the army of desRow, but he does get away in time with his blink to bring the army back together. We see Mutas in production here for SirRobin. He's thinking of kind of doing the same thing he did last game, which is see if he can catch the Protoss off guard with a small Muta force. Well, actually, last game it did get to a bigger size, but is it going to be enough in this one? We'll see. He is supply blocked at the moment. These Phoenix are back now, and they're causing havoc in the natural base, and there's nothing here to stop it. I think SirRobin actually just decide to go all around the right side to see if he can go ahead and initiate a base race. But desRow's not having any of it. He's coming home with his army, and SirRobin now is going to actually back off with his. But we might be seeing an engagement here soon. These stalkers are pretty quick, and they'll be able to blink forward to catch this army from SirRobin.
Yeah, and remember, the majority of SirRobin's army does not have speed. Yes, the roaches do, but now he's on creep, he can pull back. And also, yes, there's no mothership core, but there's blink. Such a maneuverable army for desRow. Does engage a couple of these lings. There's 13 mutas coming out, and now there are 13 mutas, even more coming out. There's currently 15 out of the map going for the third base, but desRow has so much in a perfect army to deflect these mutas, except for no mothership core. He can't teleport home, and is just trying to cut off as much as SirRobin as he can, and now he does spot those. But oh, the Phoenixes run straight into him, and he actually does lose only one, barely holds on, but there's the second Phoenix going down.
The Queens get caught from behind. They're off creep. Not exactly going to be a match for Blink Stalkers. They all die, so no more transfuses to help him out. SirRobin's just trying to juke this army as best he can to go for desRow's base, and now he's just losing units here and there to try to hold off as he's buying time for these mutas to get work done, and they are certainly doing just that. Took out, or at least forced a lot of those probes to run from the third base. Now they're going to go after the tech here in the natural, which is big, but these Blink Stalkers are arriving right now. Let's see how much dormer damage. Oh, here they are, those Phoenix. Ooh, sandwich.
Yeah, the Phoenix is right there, sandwich. Now there's not quite as many mutas. It has gone from 21 to only about 10 or 12 actually in this flock on the right hand side, but more reinforcing. Finally, we see Phoenix range coming out, and this is double Phoenix production. Just to point out, desRow, with all his harassment, has killed 55 workers. I am very surprised SirRobin has held on for this long, but it's just looking worse and worse for him. He's taken so much damage, but he had to have done that muta play right there to really even have any idea of staying in this game. desRow now moving back across the map. Like I was saying, he's got the perfect anti-muta force.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're in desRow's position, you have to be really annoyed by this, because really SirRobin continues to lead desRow on a wild goose chase, wanting to force a base race because he knows he doesn't want to take on the army of desRow. Oh, these Phoenix fly right into that muta force, and a bunch of them are taken out. But they're still alive. Lings attempting to go after the third base. Zealots being warped in time to save the probe line there. Now desRow breaking these rocks, going to come back with this death ball, and is SirRobin going to be able to avoid it? Because he's been trying to avoid it. Oh, these roaches run right into it. GG. Oh, man. What an interesting last half of game number 3 here.
Yeah, like I was saying, just in PvZ, one of the biggest things is one player is very aggressive. That's always how it works. And then into the mid to late game, he kind of stabilized, pushing back and forth. But just desRow, as the Protoss player, when you're allowed to be that first aggressor and don't lose in your entire army, he was able to get so much damage done. And then these Phoenixes, I mean, 4 Phoenixes, I don't know how many kills they had on them, but they got at least 20 to 30 of those drone kills. 55 drone kills for desRow? That is phenomenal. I'm very surprised SirRobin actually survived for that long. I actually give him a pat on the back for that. But that was game 3. It's currently 2-1 with desRow 1 game in the lead and only 1 game away from winning this best of 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 3 games. It's a small sample size, but I think it is safe to say that desRow's more in his element when he's playing a more macro style here, as we see him going on to 3 base a lot earlier in these 2 games. Actually, in game 1, never even got a 3rd base, and it's helped him. He's been able to get in the amount of harassment he needs with that early tech and a small force, whether it's Phoenix, whether it is War Prism and sentries inside, and he's setting himself up for a much stronger mid and late game. And if he can pull it off again in game 4, he'll have it in the bag, because this is, guys, about to be match point.
And I love that desRow went into Stargate right there. It's a little bit of a scary thing to do if you're going against a Zerg player that has not had a very quick third, or just normal quick Zerg macro, because then they can output a lot of roaches and stuff, and you have to do damage with the Phoenixes, or you're set back a lot. But because of that cannon rush, number 1, he denied the natural base, just period. And then number 2, the bases were forced to be a lot farther away, allowing the Phoenixes to do damage, and then the follow-up attack from desRow to be able to kill so many units, because all the army of SirRobin had to jump between a main base, then the natural and the third base, and the third base, like the fourth or fifth base position on the right-hand side. So it just all snowballed very well for desRow.
All right, game number 4, here it is, and this is match point. And it's on one of those weird maps you were talking about earlier, Drenok, for this season. It's Bridgehead LE, and we have our first player right here on the mid left-hand side. It's going to be the Orange Protoss. Went down 0-1 early on, but was able to get it together here for the last two, and now he is in the driver's seat. Let's see if he can close out the series here. Ladies and gentlemen, it is desRow.
And his opponent down a game, hoping to take this game back to bring it 2-2. From Team Gravity, it is the purple Zerg player. Put your hands together for SirRobin. I like that name. There's always names which like, yeah, that's a good name right there. You see his classiness.
Yeah, SirRobin definitely goes for that medieval kind of theme there. Even on his stream with his overlay, it's like a castle wall. It's actually he really embraces that culture, and that's kind of cool.
Culture. He's a medieval guy in general.
Yeah.
Everything he does. But
yeah.
I believe he got it from Monty Python. From what I've
I think that's what he said. Yeah. Yeah, I think he said that. He has that on his profile on Twitch. And also, the other cool thing, too, is that this is StarCraft, which is, like, completely counter to, like, the whole idea of medieval or fantasy type of theme. If this is Warcraft 3... Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Now, this map is really interesting for Protoss. I, myself as a Protoss, have not really been able to figure out what I want to do on this. I'm about 50% win rate on it anyway. Not too bad, but it's still what do I really want to do? And it looks like desRow said to go for the gateway expand. Now, what are your thoughts on this, Drew?
Well, I think you said something about gateway expand. We're having some audio issues with you right now. I don't know if it's my internet. I couldn't quite hear everything you were saying. But you're talking about my thoughts on a gateway expand on a map like Bridgehead. To be entirely honest with you, it's so tricky when you have this backdoor to contend with. Gateway expand, yeah, you can kind of hold down the fort here at the front. Oh, so there it is. Yeah, it's him. It's not me. It's you. This breakup.
It's coming back though. I
Okay.
looked over the internet and it like went to 1 kilobyte like a second, and then it went back up. Hopefully it'll come. That was strange.
Yeah, the Skype audio is just in and out right now for you. Can't really hear fully what you're saying. If you suggest, we can recall if necessary, but I'm just going to continue holding it down here for now, as we do have the natural here from SirRobin done, and a third base. That's key, and a third base, because it is only 4 minutes right now in this game, and SirRobin's playing ultra greedy here, in contrast to the first 3 games. In the last 3 games, he always went for a 15 hatch, sure, but he would delay that third and then just kind of go with the spawning pool as well as gas mining earlier on. But now he's gone for the ultra early 3 hatch and having his cake and eating it too with the spawning pool and the gas mining. Gonna be curious to see what he goes with here. If he's gonna try to drone up really fast, go for that backdoor attack, we'll have to see. But desRow right now taking his expand later than the previous game. It is a gateway expand, as Drenok said before he unfortunately had this internet issues. But there is warp gate now being researched on this cyber core, and a mothership core moving across the map here at the moment. We got a spine coming up at the outside base here, because SirRobin knows that there is aggression coming over. Had to cancel that spine for a bit here. Is he going to try to rebuild it with his drone? Where's the drone going? The queen is just running, not attacking. Can't attack. Oh, gets sandwiched briefly between Zealot and stalking out of the mothership cores here as well. Queen dies. What about the second queen? Trying to run away off creep. He's going to need these 2 queens together to handle this right now. We're going to see a second queen fall. These drones are being pulled, perhaps to try to help and surround the stalker. They will be doing just that. And just early pressure here from Stalker and Zealot proving to be so annoying here for SirRobin because of the choice he made to go with super early 3 hatches, as well as all that tech he's trying to build at the same time. So desRow.
Yeah, that was my sound now.
Okay. Sounds great. So
is it okay? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
All right.
we can hear you now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, desRow barely survives, only 16 health on that mothership core. But if it recalls home, it's not going to have enough for a photon overcharge. Thankfully, desRow does have a wall, but not quite in the right place and has no vision on these back rocks.
Yeah, absolutely. But right now we're going to see additional drones here for SirRobin. He's not going to go ahead and start cranking out units yet to make an attack. He's just trying to work on these rocks here, and these lings are going to have some work cut out for them here as they go after them. Robo now on the way for desRow, but before that, he is actually bringing in some zealots here with his warp gate. He's warped in some gateway units here to go after this third base, and SirRobin doesn't seem to have any hope of being able to save it. That's truly unfortunate because he really hoped he could get away with it. That's not going to be the case here.
Yep, that third base will go down, but now desRow, he does have to deal with a couple of these lings, but thankfully he's got the Stalker, the Sentry there, ready to push back anything they can. But interestingly enough, desRow is not the one that pushed that back. Actually, SirRobin is bringing those lings back because he's really worried what's going to happen right here. And, I mean, he has so little army. He's even going up to layer. He's got Roach One on the way, but he's got very little gas, only 120, and this is looking really scary for him, especially with 6 Zealots.
Yeah, absolutely. These lings are on the run for a bit here. The zealots can obviously make good work of lings as long as they don't get surrounded completely. But yeah, SirRobin now down a base, trying to retake it. He's getting a lair at the moment as well, starting to crank out some roaches here. He attempted to take out these rocks, but of course, as we know, desRow was able to defend them. Actually, now desRow wants to take them out.
Well, I've actually found a really interesting thing on this map as Protoss. When my opponent either has taken them really low or actually killed them, I expand in that kind of horizontal position. It allows you to be really aggressive, and at the same time you can wall off your main incredibly easily and just kind of go for a different third base and have a bit of a triangle kind of base. But right now, actually, the hallucinated Phoenix of desRow gets into the main, into the natural, and I believe it spots everything. Yeah, it literally spots everything desRow could want to see.
Yeah, I mean, hallucinated Phoenix. Last game we had real Phoenix. This game, fake ones. And
I always love when it's a Warp Prism or a Oracle, and your opponent's like, wait, what? No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And they're still quick, too, so, I mean, they get the job done as far as scouting. Is desRow getting the job done here in the center of the map? He's trapped quite a few lings there from SirRobin, and he's starting to push forward here with this army. Has one Immortal, but he does have a lot of other stuff in these gateway units. SirRobin now backtracking here, waiting on this third to finish. He might even cancel it. Is he going to cancel it? Because he's not trying to defend it. Oh, well, he's left it alive, so can he get his units over here in time? I don't think so. Too much DPS here. And a force field could easily close off that round.
Alright, SirRobin will take off those rocks, and there is 5 spine crawlers, but the force fields actually will trap a couple of these roaches. Beautiful time warp goes down, Guardian Shield is there. Now, this is 10 Stalkers, 8 Zealots and an Immortal, so much damage, and 5 Sentries here doing as much damage as they can. Through 2 out of the 5 spine crawlers do go down, another one goes down. Desperately, Hydras are out, drones are being pulled to defend this, but desRow getting so much damage done. 11 workers killed, and he's reset mainly the roach count. Right now, there is the 8 Hydras, which have so much DPS, but if they're split in half, desRow's gonna slaughter them because of how squishy they are just by themselves.
Now, here's the thing. This is kind of all, actually this is all in here from desRow, right? He's only on 37 workers here at 12 minutes, so it's not amazing here. If SirRobin can hang on here, he still has a chance. It's not by any means a big issue yet. Obviously, he wants to have his third up by now. Keeps losing it, but it's certainly not completely out of hand by any means, and desRow realizes that too. He can't just quite break SirRobin yet because he doesn't have the economy to support the continued reinforcements. So SirRobin here will just have to play patient and try to claw his way back here and take that third for once.
Yeah, the one nice thing is he has been given a little bit of breathing room. desRow going for a third base. Yes, you want to expand while you attack, but after you expand, especially as Protoss with such an open base as that horizontal third, you have to be very careful and pull back to defend it.
Yeah, this map is so tricky with that. I personally veto this for a variety of reasons, and that being one of them. For Protoss, it's tricky here in this situation. You don't have an easy way to wall off. I mean, we have this one pylon out here for desRow. Is this the start of a wall? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really wall it off even if you do that in really late game situations, 20 to 25 minutes. You can just throw like 5-6 gates there and just be like, I need the extra, I need to be able to remax, but that's about 10-15 minutes away. So desRow cannot make a wall in yet, it costs too much, but for SirRobin, he can take that third easily. He's got 3 spine crawlers on the way, and I love that he's using those overlords to spread that creep. It's a very simple thing you can do, but not that many people do it, and it's going to help him a lot, especially if he needs a really quick spine crawler defense.
Yeah, and of course he can walk it over to that third really quickly. desRow now just going to stay over here in front of this third base. He's currently in a good spot. He's up by about 36 supply, 37 supply here, as well as in workers. SirRobin here, you know, having that third delayed for so long really hurt his economy, really hurt that ability to macro. So now he's just trying to catch up. And look how much he's floating right now. It has everything to do with the lack of hatcheries because he just hasn't been able to continue cranking out units, whether it is drones or army units. And now he's going to have to just find a way to spend all this. All right,
I gotta jump out. It's getting really bad again.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so we are going to see now desRow rally up here in the center, looking to push forward once more. All right, I'll go ahead and get our esteemed co-caster back involved here. There we go. Everything good?
Oh, yep, it says a little bit. It says it's a little bit better, but no, yeah, okay. I'm not sure what's going on right now.